running, I think. I'm going to square this off a little bit. Yeah, it's not too early. Got to get my video set up here so it's the right speed. Hey guys, welcome. Let's see, we got Alex in here, and we got Eric. Hey Eric, thanks for the address. I will be shipping that off to you probably later today or in the early morning tomorrow. So pens on the way, just to let you know. Okay. Well, we got since you guys are here early or already, I'll go ahead and kind of start talking about this. I've got a lot of bowls that we've turned recently that are unturning in themselves a little bit. They're starting to warp just a little bit, and so I wanted to go back and show different ways that we can go back to fixing some of these bowls. And I've got like 6 different bowls here, including this big one that I started last week. And I've been working on the cracks and so forth on this one. And now we're going to attempt to go to the inside of this today and see what happens. But you can see, look at the bowing that's doing on the top here. You can see that. So it's already starting to bulge up a little bit. Yeah, lots of things to deal with. This one too. It's a beautiful little piece of wood, little piece of that elm that we got. So I got quite a few of these to put on and turn today. And like I said, I'm going to show you some different methods of doing some of them. And the first one we're going to do is with this jam chuck. I've got a jam chuck into my chuck, a jam chuck. Got some of this material that you can buy at any Walmart or anything like that, this rubberized stuff right here. That works really good for this. And what I did is I had to true this up first, and I already did that earlier. And actually, I had to true it up twice, and it's hard to get in here. What I used was, if I can get it out here. What I used was this one, I think. This one here. And it just presses against it, and it holds it in place instead of using the bolt here, or the cone, so that you get a little more room to get in here with a tool and get that cleaned out. It's not perfectly cleaned out, but I think it'll work. And we've got it pretty rounded out here. I got to do a little bit of work on the side, as you can see. Look at my finger. So I'm going to work at cleaning up the outside here just a little bit. Yeah, it's a good, oh my goodness, between this and there's about 1/8 of an inch or so. So I'm gonna have to get that cleaned out. And then we should be ready to go on the get ready to go a little bit more on the inside of this one too. So this one's pretty dried at this point. We are at, well, what are we at? It's not saying. Let me try here. We're at about 8% right here. So it's pretty well past the drying stage at this point. And that's good. So we're not going to get much more movement out of this one. Okay. Yeah, this green will turn. You're right. This is for Ron. You're absolutely right. So so what we're going to do is we're going to start by turning this, and we have to be careful because all that's holding this on is basically tension. This is pushing into the bowl, and that's all that's holding this in place, really. This, and it's jammed into the jam chuck, as the term says. So let me put my helmet on here because things can fly. Not all these are going to be successes today. I have but we're built for failure too, right? We learn from failure and we celebrate success. So, let me get my mask going. Okay, let's turn this on. Going to speed up a little bit. I don't want to go crazy with the speed, just kind of, there we go. I don't want to be overly aggressive with this. At least not at first. Ooh, see, that's the problem. He is still kind of rough right there. You can hear that, right? So let's kind of look and see what that is. It's because it's not 100% flat on here. It's not 100%. So we're having to kind of reshape it just a little bit. Plus, it bent out. As it was drying, it bent out just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can't tighten this just a little bit more. There we go. A little more pressure on it. I can go up with the speed a little bit more. Let's see what we can do now. There we go. Yeah, I think I can switch tools now. Use something a little bit more aggressive for the flattening part of this. I think. And that's looking really good. And you can see there's a little hairline crack here. I actually cleaned that crack out and put some glue in there and resurfaced it a little bit. This one too. And I knew I was going to have to go back and kind of finish that up. So let's go a little bit higher with the speed. See what we can come up with here, okay? Maybe just a little bit more aggressive that way. We're up to about 1,000 RPM now. Okay, I think that's pretty good now. We're taking any kind of real obvious warp out of that. We'll sand that off just a little bit. We'll put a little finish on it and we'll switch it around. Get this end grain. This was some of that really green wood that we had a couple weeks back. And I threw it in the trash can with a bunch of other shavings. Okay. Just working on that end grain, making sure it's cleaned up. Okay, that's good. Get a little on this back side. And we'll leave that alone. Okay. Go a little bit more on the grain, on the sand grit there. We'll go a little bit more. Hopefully we get some people in here today. We are going to do a lot of different things. This is just one of many. So, Wilson, is that you in there? Hey, how you doing? That feels pretty good. Okay. Let's see Wilson. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Guys, we're only 123 people away from subscribers away from hitting 5,000 subscribers. And I don't know what we got to do to get that, but the last few times we've only gained like 1 or 2 subscribers at a time in our lives. We need a little fresh blood in there. We need a little fresh blood in there to kind of liven up the chat a little, or the channel a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some tung oil on this. Of course, that always brings it to life a little bit. That way, it's a perfect time to pick up some supplies like these because Amazon Prime is on its Prime days right now. Not that I'm a shiller for Amazon Prime, but I have seen a few good deals on there. I went ahead and ordered a couple things that, and I'll show you one of them. It is a really cool little tool that I purchased on sale, on the Prime sale. I'll show you that in just a minute here while I'm letting this soak in. I think you'll really like it. So get that first coat in there, and of course it's soaking it right up. Now that it's drier, it soaks this stuff in a lot better. Okay. And just to be on the safe side with this one, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this tenon because that tenon is a little sketchy. It's got some bark in there, and I want it to be able to hold on while it's working. My wife did. Oh, I think I need the thin glue. There we go. Get one of my brushes. Just bear with me a second here. You want that just to reinforce those fibers a bit. One of my little tips. Anyway, so I'm gonna put a little bit on the brush here. I think I can get the rest of this. There we go. Okay. One more little coat on here, and then I'm gonna let that soak in for a minute. I'll show you that tool that I got. Pretty cool. Yeah, like so. Yeah, it does. It smokes up the oil pretty good. Even though this was a green piece of wood, and I've let it dry out some, you can see what it does. It really soaks up the finish. It may actually need a third coat and then probably some shellac after that to get a nice finish, a sheen on it. But let me show you while that's drying a little bit. Let me show you this. I got this the other day. And what it is, it's a planer, but the blade attaches the bottom nice and flat, so you can use it to scrape like you would a chisel. We're using a chisel sometimes, but it gives you a good handle. You get your palm here, you get your fingers right in here. You can guide with this, and you can really clean off surfaces very quickly and very cleanly. It's got a razor sharp little blade. It's from Powercap. And again, I bought this myself. I'm not getting sponsored for this or anything. It was like $25, something like that, on Amazon. And I think it's just a really cool tool that you can use around the shop all the time. For $25, that's a steal. $26, something like that, just a steal. Just look under Powercap, and I think it's called a hand chisel or something like that. But look, Powercap, it's a 1-inch chisel, and it came apart. What you had to do is you have to get an Allen wrench, and you put this little Allen screw in, and that's basically it. That's your whole assembly. Everything else is already assembled. Came in a very small box, but just a really thoughtful tool that I can see myself using all over the shop all the time, rather than grabbing one of my chisels and kind of getting an angle cut at something. I can get a nice flat cut on something and take it out. And you can get into very small areas that you can't do that. And it's pretty hefty. It is. It probably weighs, I don't know, 6-7 ounces, maybe something like that. It's a pretty hefty blade, and they do have replacement blades if needed, but I don't think you'd need one for a long time. Okay, so that's the outside of this bowl, and as you can see, it's already pretty much dried off. I'm gonna give it a little spin. I'll just kind of do this. There we go. All right, so take this off and I'll show you. That's all that was holding this, was this. And I just took a couple pieces of wood. This is poplar and I think another piece of oak or poplar here. And then I turned it so that it has a nice tenon that'll fit into one of my chucks. And then that's all there is to it. And like I said, you buy a roll of this for like $10 at Walmart. It'll last you a long, long, long time. So that's how you use that chuck, that jam chuck. So for those of you that have not used jam chucks in the past, that is a way to do it. Now, I have to use my other chuck here for this one. So let me get this one out of the way. You stay there. Pull up this one. Our old standby. That feels a little loose right there. I'm not sure if it is. Let's see. This one. Yeah. Always good to check those things. And of course, I got to see if I got the right one here for it. Let me see. Probably this. No, it's tight. That one's tight. That's tight. That's tight. Go to the inside. That one's tight. That's tight. And the last one. They're all tight, so no problem. Just the gearing is probably getting a little loose in there. And that happens after, a couple thousand bowls and other things that you've turned on something. Okay, so put this on here. See if we get a good bite. Turn this on. It's pretty good, but I think I can do better. So let me see if I can get a little better fit on there. Oops. That's one of the problems when you're returning something, is you have to really work at making sure you're getting the best attachment you can on here. Of course, it helps if you got that on all the way. Okay, there we go. I think I can do, and I may not be able to get a perfect fit on that. That's okay. Boy, that's really off. That's pretty good. I think I can live with that. Okay. So we'll tighten it down. And we'll see what we can do, damage we can do on the inside here. Gotta take the tailstock out of my way. Okay. And we'll go inside here. Hey, Mike. How you doing, Mims? Tried to catch a couple of your lines, but I always get there about a half an hour after you're done streaming. So I kind of just miss you. Hey, Resident, boy, you got a lot of you guys in here today. That's great. Really appreciate you coming in. Please spread the word. I don't have to go too crazy with this. I just want to see what it's doing. See, it's about that far off. Okay, and we obviously need to go in. We obviously need to get in there and get this cleaned up some on the outside and on the inside. So let me put my helmet on, and we'll get in there with the real tools. Let's see what damage we can do, or maybe ruin the bowl. Who knows? I got another really good trick coming up here in a couple minutes. I'll show you how to using a staining pen in your wood turning. We haven't done that one in a while. Now, I'm going to have to move you guys over here some so that you can see this. A little better, I think. I'm going to turn the speed up. Dealing with that initial bouncing a little bit where you don't want to get caught. There. Okay. See how we're coming there. Now it's starting to get a little bit easier to try and stop. It's not bouncing as much. I think I can come over here with a little bit of angle. Get in there just a little bit more. Up just a little bit. Let's try the carbide for just a second here. And remember, there was some cracks on this. That I had to fill in. I'm starting to get that down just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm going to work on doing a little bit of a angle cut in. What do you think, guys? I'm getting there a little bit. Now I'm only here in the bowl, so I can go down quite a bit more too. So I'm going to start doing that. Start getting the bottom out of this as we do the sides. I think I'm hitting in something like a crack or something. Oh, it's a little hole right there. See that? There's a little branch of some sort. You don't see it on the outside, but there's a little branch hole right here. Kind of in line with these two pieces. So that's what I was hitting. We're getting closer to the thinness that I wanted to on the sides here. I don't need to make it paper thin, but I do need to get it deeper. Let's kind of take a measure where we're at. Get some of that out of there. We're now down to about here. So we got maybe a 1/4 inch more to take off the bottom. Maybe I can get another 1/8 inch off the sides. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Trying to get little gouges in the side. I've got to make sure it's nice and smooth. Okay, let me get to a scraper here. Okay, let's see where we're at after that. Sides are pretty smooth, pretty even. A little bit right there maybe. And we are down right about where we want to be. So I just need to clean that up a little bit. think that does it. Okay, good. We'll we'll sand this out just a little bit, and we'll first bowl. Move on to something a little bit more exciting for the rest of you guys here, since there's only about 14 of you in here. I'm starting to get an itch to go back in the shop. It'll take a month. Oh my goodness. Hey, how you doing, New Beginnings? I haven't seen you in a while. It's been a hot minute. In fact, we were just talking about you the other day, saying that anybody heard from you. Hope everything's okay. We're doing okay. We're doing all right. We're had a couple little health scares, but doctor's apparently not as scared as I was, because he didn't want me in until July 1st. So I'll find out how scared I should be after July 1st. But other than that, doing fine. Let me put my. See how that worked. Oh yeah, that's feeling really good. Yeah, I'm just going to go up to the 240, and then I think I'll leave it at that. There we go. Okay, got that done. Going to vacuum that out just a little bit, guys, just to so it doesn't dirty up the or muddy up the finish when I put the finish in there. I'm starting to lose a little bit of suction, which means it's about time to empty the my semi-annual dumping of my my dust my vacuum. And about once or twice a year is all I have to do is go in there, and there won't be a lot. There'll just be some dust in the filter mostly. There won't be much in the tank itself. But the filters get clogged after a while, even though you're doing all of this extra filtering that I do with the bucket on top and all. But anyway, looks like I'll have to get in there and clean out that this week. All right, so let's put the finish on the inside and move on. Okay. By the way, guys, if you please put your channel in the comments section so others can see it. There's a lot of good guys in here that have channels, Wilson and Newbies, Mims, and some others. Put your channels in there for the few other people that are in here to watch and follow. Man, we only got 15 people in here right now. That's kind of sad. On Friday, we used to have 800 to 1,000 people at a time. And the algorithm and everything's really dropped off for wood turners. It's not really a viable thing anymore like it was. But we do it mostly because I still like showing you guys how to do some things. And well, like Alex said, there were some people there was a couple guys that were having a little trouble with some green wood. So I thought today we'd show some different ways of dealing with green wood. This was just the first one. I got some really good tips on some of the other ones to do. So we're just going to work through it. And, you guys want to go and come back later or catch it on the replay later on as you wish. That's also fine. It's not sucking it in quite as much on the inside as it did on the outside. The outside just keeps drinking it in. So this should not warp much anymore. It warped quite a bit. It was pretty oval in the bottom tenon. It was pretty oval. I had to take that off and I had to kind of round it. And it also had a hump right here where this little bit of a twig of a branch was. It kind of popped up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to do it much anymore, especially if we get a coating of shellac on here afterwards. Because see right here is part of the core. Also, here's part of the core. So that's where you would get a little bit of raising of the wood. So yeah, I like this one. I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, spread that around inside a little bit more. Starting to dry out in there now. It sucks in a little bit more slowly. It looks good glossy, so I think we're going to have to end up put a gloss finish on this thing. So I think it just makes the wood pop a little bit more on this particular piece. So that's what we'll be looking to do down the road. But the tung oil does not get in the way of you putting another finish on the wood. It just goes in and strengthens the wood. Sorry about that. So don't be afraid of using tung oil. In there. Okay. So let's get this off of here. And we can set this aside. There you go. I think it's pretty. Got some nice colors to it. Nice bottom on it. And that'll make somebody a real nice bowl down the road. So I think we'll put that aside for now. Okay. So I guess, well, let me do a couple of these little ones first just to show a couple other processes, and we're going to go to the big one. This one here, this one's basically done. This one's dried. I microwaved the other day. It's really done at this point, pretty much. I just need to put a little sanding on it, but you'll see that even though I've microwaved it and everything else, you can still be a slightly out even at this point, even though there's not much there. And that's when I just want to finish sanding. So don't be afraid of the fact that it's going to continue to move and warp and change up a little bit places. It's just part of the deal, okay? But if you do have to go back, you are usually going to have to go back and sand, because what happens is the grain gets raised a little bit on this, okay? So I'm not going to use the heavy one. I'm going to start with a 120 grit. I'm going to turn this on. I'm just going to kind of very lightly, I'm not even going to push on this. Just want to see where it's hitting. And that just kind of brightens up the outside a little bit and takes some of those little fuzzy feelies off of there and the strands that start to pop up as it's drying. Okay, now I'm going to go on the inside. And a lot of times what happens on the inside is this middle will hump up just a little bit as it's drying. See how it's warped? Look at that. It's that bouncing. I'm going to have to do this. Now this particular one, the core is right here. We actually went into the middle of the branch in a sense. The core is right here, and we let the radials come out from it. It did not crack. We managed to do this without it cracking, so don't let people tell you that it will crack every time. It won't. It depends on how you handle it. And on this one I'm just going to put a little Howard's, I think, on it. Doesn't need the tongue oil. Get that out of your way so you can see what's happening here. So this is the Howard's as opposed to using the tongue oil. Now Howard's will give it a nice finish and give it a nice coating of wax, and the wax will go inside the wood a little bit, but it's not going to harden the wood like the tongue oil would. The tongue oil will go in and harden the wood. This one's just going to be feeding the wood, basically. And that's all right in this particular case because we got a much thinner edge on it, and nice finish on this one. I'm going to let that go on there and sit for a minute, and then we will buff that off because this is not going to soak in the fibers like the tongue oil does. Okay. So a little different approach, a little different finish. The orange oil that's in there will penetrate. And of course, it'll take some of the beeswax with it. I think most of the beeswax will maintain it, will stay on the top. So let's see what we can do here. Okay. As you can see, Mrs. 2 Minutes is in the shop. So you can all say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Woodshed. Dan, welcome in. Okay. Good. All right. There. Scotch brand, or these little Scotch pads or something similar to that, are great for this. They don't really scratch the surface, and they will take off any little bits of fuzz. They're a great tool when you're putting finishes on. I really highly recommend you get a stack of them. They're great to use in the shop. So we're just throwing all sorts of little tips out there today. Alrighty, there we are. Please hit that like button while you're in here, guys. I know there's not many of you, but I'd like to at least get a few likes out of this if I can. It doesn't look like I can get much in the way of subs since most of you are already subs here. But we'll see. Okay, let's take this one off. Okay, so this one just needed a little finishing work. And as you can see, that has a nice buffed, look at that buffed finish on this one. It just really, really shines. I think that it looks great. And I love the offset because the offset kind of makes it look curved, even though it's not, or kind of oval shaped, even though it's not actually oval shaped. And you can see the bottom here. So I think this is going to be a really nice little bowl. We have this little piece right there. That's this little thing you see right there. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so that's number 2. Oh, okay. And this one, you know how you always need something in the bathroom that you can throw little discards into? Like, for instance, if you're diabetic, you can throw your needle paraphernalia in there or something, or whatever. It's always nice to have one of these in. About once a week, you just dump it into the trash can. Really handy to have, or something to put your rings in. These little bowls sell surprisingly well when you're on a craft show or something. You'd think that the bigger bowls are the ones that draw attention, but people buy these. If you say like $5 for something like this, people snatch them up. So I always try and have a few of those with me whenever I go out on to a craft show, because they sell quick. And look how that's warped out. You see how that's warped out? This is nice and flat. Look how that's warped. Put my finger there. You can see that. That's okay. On a small bowl like this, you can leave the warp. You just need to sand this out and just live with the warp. Okay? Because there's nothing here that looks disfigured or anything else. We could go just a little bit deeper inside if I wanted to. Let's see. You know, I don't think in this case I want to. I think I just want to sand this out. But it gives you a chance to look at something before you just, if you'd have cut the tenon off of a different kind, or had a different kind of tenon that you had to cut off, you wouldn't have the ability to go back and evaluate your green turnings. This one turned out very well, and I'm just going to sand it down. Of course, the battery dies just as you're doing this, right? Never fails, never fails. I think it's time to maybe. I asked for some batteries for Father's Day. I did not get said batteries, just in case you were wondering. But that's okay. We're just gonna. And as you can see, that sanding took quite a bit out right away. I'm gonna have to put this on. It's throwing a little too much dust for me. Okay, so do the outside too. You can see where it raised up right here and right here. Just a little bit higher. You know how that does that? I'll go to a little bit higher grit, or lower grit, I should say, higher grit, however you want to say it. All right. Okay. That's enough of that. That was just to get that kind of smoothed out. Feels a lot better again. Okay. Again, this is just getting a little hard. You notice this one's getting pretty low. I actually had to go buy another one the other day because this one was getting too low. Cost me less than $12 American. And there are links in the descriptions of this video for some of these finishes that I'm showing you, or the ingredients for making your own there. So if you have trouble finding it, that might help. But I'm not a shill. I'm not a big salesperson or anything. In fact, I don't know if I've ever sold a single one off of there, to be honest with you. But I put it up there mostly for you guys to have some place to find it in case you can't find it locally. There. Okay. I'm going to let that soak for just a minute. Let's see if we can get caught up here. Dan, Chase, Eric, Roy. Hey, there you go. Hey, Roy. Everybody's in here today, right? Okay. Good. All right. Well, let's just kind of wipe this down. As I said, you can see this one's warped, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. We don't have to take the warp out of everything. We can just let it be. See how getting a nice new finish on that just makes that look so much better. Isn't that pretty? Pretty wood. Nothing fancy to it. You can see it's doming here just a little bit as it's drying. I had this in the microwave just last couple days too. And I think it looks just right the way it is, and it's a good little $5 bowl. You know, anybody would buy really quickly. Along those same lines, I had this one that I was doing the other day, and this is another piece of that. Excuse me. Elm, and again, we've got the pith here, and we're dealing with the cracks. And I had to put some glue in there. I had to put some shavings in there, let this dry, resand it, and I got the outside of this done pretty well at this point. And I think it's ready to be turned around and do the inside of it. So I'm going to take this off. But I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you want me to go to the big one? Or do you want me to do this little one first? What's the preference? Would you like me to do that big plum bowl I've been working on? Or this is plum, this is elm right here. Any preferences, guys? You got your chance to vote. This is your chance to vote. I'm not seeing any comments. No comments, I'm going to have to make the decision myself. I don't even know if this is going to work, to be honest with you. That's pretty good. A little tiny bit out of whack, but not much. And I can actually clean that up a little bit before I go inside if I want to. You want me to finish the small one? Okay, Dan. Okay. Well, the people have spoken, so to speak. I'm going to try, I think I'll try cleaning up this outside just a little bit first, just so that we're not visually being kind of screwed up on it when we come on the inside. So I'm going to slide the tailstock back in here, which I don't normally have to do, but you see there's the hole for the tailstock. And now it's a little bit off. So I'm going to see if I can't use that as my guide. See what that does. Okay. Got that on. That tightened. And we'll do the side here a little bit. Let me put my helmet on. Get a sip of water first. And we'll go for it. I didn't have a lot of plans for this bowl when I first did it. Just kind of wanted to see what I could do. So it's all an experiment in a sense. Let's see if this is still sharp enough. I'm not sure. Okay. All right, that got the initial thing going. Now let's get the scraper in here. Okay. Just nice and thin little piece strips. Now we're going to go with the skew, see if we can get a little bit better. I'm not sure why I'm getting a bump right there. Oh, because that crack. That's what it is. Okay. I was wondering what was causing that bouncing. Okay. Well, we can deal with that with a little bit of sandpaper on there. Get that cleaned up. So, get that outside shaped up. It makes it a little bit easier on the inside. Turn this on again. Okay. Go a little bit different grit. I'm going to go in reverse. A little reverse standing there. Go forward. Almost tiny. There. That's good. Okay. I think we got that where we want it. We'll take this tailstock off now. So no support. Hey, go over here. Now we can go to the inside. Okay. Got to take care of the pups. Okay, well, I understand that. Um, Feel free to come back in later. We should still be here. And thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Okay, guys, let's go at the inside of this thing. Let's see what we can do. Cross your fingers. I have a feeling I'm going to have to sharpen this. Yeah, it's sharp on one side, but not on the other anymore. Okay, I think I'm going to lower that down just a hair and go sharpen this. You just stick with me for a second, guys. It's not that big of a deal. It takes a minute. Less than that, actually. All right, let's turn this thing on and alrighty. Okay, that should do it. And we have a nice new edge on there. Let's see what that does for us. You see the difference? It's almost too aggressive. I think I need to raise this up just a little bit. It won't get too low. And I need to bring this over some. Let's see how that works. Let's see. So where am I getting a little chatter from? Oh, from the holes right there. Okay. The little screw holes. That should be worth getting rid of most of them. Oops. Oh, you're getting big shavings there. Hard to see what I'm doing. No. I have to take a few of these over to the trash can here. Whew! Some nice ribbons. Oh, hey, Tim. Got him? Yep. Welcome to the mess here. I assume we have some people that are probably going to be getting off work soon. At least some of our East Coast friends. If you haven't checked it out yet, I posted 2 videos this week of a couple pins I made. They're in the shorts section, and they're the ones that I made for Eric and for John, or Jim, I'm sorry, from Soldier Farms, and Eric makes. They were the contest winners in our 5 million views contest. So I put videos out for both of the pins I made. One was the last one I did was a black walnut I did for Eric, and I posted it yesterday. That one came out really nice. So yeah, if you want to give those 2 a look, they're only about a minute or so long, the videos, and you can see how those came out. And we may do some more lives with the pins. I don't find them quite as exciting, but some people like to watch them. I mean, I like to watch them being made, so we might do that. Whew! It's like peeling an apple, isn't it? And you can feel how wet this wood is right here. This is much wetter than the wood that I was turning earlier in here. So we're getting down to the wet wood that would slowly dry and crack or bend the wood. Okay, let's see where we're at here. I gotta make sure that I keep following the curve of the outside with the inside. And I got a little rough spot right there I got to clean up. And we are right about here. So we can go down to about here. So about a half an inch more, I'd say. It's hard to see the form in there because of all the stuff that's in there. Okay. I need to clean that out a little bit, and I think I'd be better off to use my scraper to clean some of that out. Yeah, it's getting a little better. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm down to here, but I'm up here. So, okay, I got to get that out of there. Let me see. Might have to use this to take that little ridge out. Let's see how that did. A little better. A little better. Still got some room. Okay. It was a little aggressive, but I think it got the point across. Yep, that got in there. That got in there good. Okay, we'll take a little bit out of that center. Yep, I think I can do that with the scraper now. All right. I think we made pretty short work of the inside of that. It looks pretty nice. There's a nice flute to it. Okay, let me clean it out a little bit. And put some finish on this, and we'll move on to the big bowl, the star of the show. Guess I should put this on. I always forget to put this on, and then I see a cloud of smoke coming or dust coming up from that thing. And I wonder, why didn't I do that? Switch this way. Oh yeah, that's fitting good. The last one in. Squeeze that out. Squeeze out the middle a little. Okay. So next week, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Anyway, is our 47th wedding anniversary. So don't expect to see me on that day. That's the 30th. It would be probably pretty busy. You've assumed the kitchen duty. Oh, you assume the kitchen duties, dude. Tonight we are having manicotti and baked onions. I got some onions we're going to cut the tops off of them, and we're going to score them and then put them in the oven with a little butter and on them. And then after about 30 minutes, we'll take them out, put some cheese in there and some breadcrumbs on top and put them back in so they can get a little crispy on top. And we'll have that as a side dish with some manicotti with homemade Italian vodka sauce. That's our dinner tonight. I came up with it, but my wife has to do half the cooking because I'm in here. So that worked out pretty good, didn't it? Okay, so yeah, so next the 30th is our 47th wedding anniversary. And the next day, of course, I get to go see the doctor. But we will be having our usual Friday live next week, I assume, unless the doctor has me in the hospital or something. So, all things being even, or we haven't had another earthquake in California. Always a possibility too. They seem to be happening pretty frequently and all over the place lately. They don't always make the news because it's just another earthquake, but there's actually a 5.6 earthquake near San Francisco a couple days back. It hardly made the news because right after that, the one in Venezuela hit, and of course that caught a lot of attention because there's a lot of people killed. But yeah, California's in the middle of a swarm of earthquakes right now. Hope that doesn't become a problem. Okay, so here we go. Wipe that down a little bit. Whoa, that's spitting on me. And let that soak in for just a moment. I'll catch up with you guys here. So let's see. Tim and Eric and what else is it here? I see there's 14, 15 people at the moment. Would like to see a lot more. I really don't know where the crowds have gone lately, but they have, and it's made it a lot harder to kind of put these together and have them be worthwhile. Because when you stop having an audience, it's kind of like, well, then maybe it's time to move on. So I'm not ready to quit just yet, but it does become a little discouraging when YouTube went from having millions of people watching to having what appears to be just a few thousand people watching around the place. And almost none of the woodworkers are getting much love lately. And I know it's summertime and people have other things they're doing. That's part of it too. But, it's a Friday afternoon and a Friday evening. And you'd like to think there's some people sitting around in their shops. Or with their kids, teaching them about using a shop. Wouldn't that be amazing? They were actually teaching their kids something. I don't even see hardly anymore. I don't see people even teaching their kids how to do simple maintenance around the house anymore. It's really sad. If you ever buy a house, just pay somebody else to do all the work. And then they go, oh, I can't afford anything because I have all these expenses and I have to get those tattoos and everything. Well, maybe we're teaching kids the wrong skills sometimes, and they don't know how to fend for themselves. I know Mike's making stuff is always harping on that too. What do you guys think? Hey, Paul, you made it in. Are you part of that heat wave that's going on overseas? I heard it was about 36, 35 degrees, 35 Celsius. That's a lot for the Brits, I know, and I don't know about the Scots, but that's a lot for the Brits. That's a lot for the Scots too, I was saying, and for the Welsh and for the Irish and everybody over there. Yeah, too hot. Yeah. And they've never heard of what an air conditioner is, right? So, yeah, when you go into the pub and it's it's like the same heat as it is outside, but now you got 100 people inside the pub or 50 people inside the pub. That's a lot of sweaty body heat. Sitting around drinking possibly warm beer too. It probably may not even be cold beer. That's sad. least tell me your beer's cold. I know you don't have ice for your scotch. Oh, that's right. So here we got the big mama. And I don't know if we're going to get it all turned today, but we're going to give it the old college try and get some of it going. This is still a very green piece of wood. And I'm really dealing with some stuff on here. I'll show you what I was dealing with. And Alex or Ron, if you guys are still watching, Ron was dealing with some green wood the other day. I got a lot of this plum from a tree they removed from the front of my house a week ago. Actually, almost 2 weeks ago now. And I thought I'd salvage some of it and turn them into a bowls. Well, most of the pieces of wood that I kept cracked seriously. I mean, just really, really cracked. And I was not able to salvage much of any of it, even though I was trying to. I tried to keep getting pieces out of it that I could. It just cracked. So the wood was very twisted to begin with. Oh, there we go. Whew. I had to use my persuader there. Okay, so, oh, and I did want to show you a little trick too. I'm sorry, I almost forgot this. I promised you guys a little trick. For those of you that have stuck around, here it is. Okay, get these stain markers, and when you have something like, say, a little glue where you had to fill in a crack with some glue and shavings and whatever, you daub that on there. Don't worry about it yet. But daub that on there. Okay. And like any stain, you have to let it set. You can't just take it off. Okay. And this works really good on bark, but it also works on this. So you can't take it off right now. It's still wet. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside for a couple minutes, and then we'll come back to this bowl, and you'll be able to see what we can do to that. And you even if it does stay on, you can still remove whatever does get stuck on there. So not to worry. Okay. Now, this one, we're using the heavy duty chuck with a bigger tenon. Oops. And we're using an outward tenon, which I don't normally use. And I'm not even sure it will actually work, because this wood has all sorts of cracks in it. You see this big, humongous crack here and here. You see all of these cracks across here, including in the tenon. Okay? I had to work for hours filling these in with CA glue, and then with wood glue, and then with shavings, and it still is, and it's still in the movement. It's still moving. So I do not know for certain if I'll even be able to do this. Okay? We're just going to have to try. And if we can't, well, I'll just say we can't. And we'll have to wait until I can stabilize it further. But as of right now, this is what we got. And let's see, I'm going to put on a slow speed. Let's see what it's turning like. Yeah, see, even now it's a little tiny bit warped, but not too bad. And part of that bouncing is because you have this here. So don't go by that. Kind of go by this back here. You got all sorts of little voids and stuff. So it's not as bad out as it looks. It looks pretty good here. Okay. So that being said, and that's about all I can say about it, I see a little bit of possibility here. Let's see. And I'm going to be squeezing this in because of that crack in the tenon. And that's pretty good there. So I think I can live with that. Actually, I'm going to have to. This is going to be pretty scary stuff. Okay, now I've had this on here for a couple of minutes. Right? And if I wipe across, you can see it's still loose enough that it can just come right off. So if I wipe it like that, see what's going to happen? It's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on. So we have to put it on so it has long enough to actually stain that wood. So 4 or 5 minutes was not enough. And you want to make sure you really shake this up good before you apply. Okay, so we're going to go and work on this for a while. Remind me to go back to it. Okay. You've been lurking. Oh, hey, soldier. Jim. Jim, I got your address. Thank you very much. And Jim, I will be sending that out. That pen. Thank you so much. Please check out Jim's channel. I know he's going to be doing another live. So please make sure you check him out. Okay. All right. Wish me luck on this. No telling what's going to happen. I'm going to have to lower this down just a little bit. Bring this in just a little bit. Yeah, now I got to raise it up. All right. Looks like I might need to give this a new sharpening. See, I'm getting all those cracks, and that's what's causing all the bumping and stuff. So it's going to be a rough ride, no matter what I do here. But if I can get this a little more evened out, it'll be a lot easier to raise the speed up some. Because right now the speed is a little bit of an issue too. I can't go too fast. So let me sharpen this up a bit. I'm going to have to buy another one of these soon. I just know it. These Hurricanes run about 170 some odd dollars. Well worth the money, but maybe I can put in for it for my birthday or something. So that's what I want for my birthday. New gouge. I can feel it every time it's hitting that crack. If I can get the speed up a little more without it knocking too much. Yeah, I hear you guys shouting out there. You're saying, why don't you use a gouge? I mean, why are you using a gouge? Why not using a carbide? And we probably will switch to a carbide. At least it's starting to work a little bit. Yeah, see, it's just not wanting to, that crack just doesn't allow it to run seamlessly through. So what we're going to have to do is we'll switch to the carbide. See, this is a pretty good sized crack here. We're going to have to work our way through that. It's pretty wood, but boy, does it have a lot going on. Yeah. Let's see. So this says I go live Wednesday evenings at 5:45 Eastern time and Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Oh, good. You put your channel up there. Great. That's what I was going to tell you to do. Okay, so I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go to, because we're not making very good progress on this, and just to check the wood here. This is to check on the wood. We're at 17%. So it has dropped down. It was 25%. It's 20 out here, 20 here, it's 17 right here, 15 to 17. So it varies in the wood. So, yeah. All right, well, if we're going to use this, I'm going to have to move this a little bit, I think. And then put a new sharp point on it, basically. Okay. We're starting to make some progress, right? I wish I could get the speed up. If I can get a little bit of the weight off of here, eventually we can get the speed up a little bit. And just so you know, what I did here is I treated this with several coats of tung oil, so it'd soak in a lot, strengthen the wood. And then I put in 2 coats of shellac on this. So this is already a relatively finished, and then I put a little beeswax on it too. This is basically a finished outside. So I'm not really in the mood to return the outside again. I think I've managed to do where very little of the moisture is going to come out there. It's going to all come out of here, and so it's going to hump this wood as it's drying. But I think we managed to looks like there's a little bit of weight on the chuck itself. Maybe not. It's just the way the weight's going on there. But I can try and pick up the speed just a little bit. My hand's getting wet from the moisture on the coming off the wood. And this is coming along. Ah, sorry for the shakiness there, guys, a little bit. But you see this crack is all the way across here that we're dealing with. So that's kind of why I'm being really careful as I go. Let's see. You got a whole young tree, a Norway maple. Wow. A weed, huh? Well, depending on how big that weed is, cut it in 2-foot lengths so easy to move around. Yeah. Well, you should be able to get, 7 or 8 inch bowls out of it at least. That crack really creates a lot of problems. So next week, we'll be coming up on the July 4th weekend. Next Friday is what? July 3rd, right? Saturday, July 4th. So, is there anything special you'd like to do on here on the 3rd? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Oh, let's go back to that stain now. I think we had enough time on it. Maybe not. We'll see. Stain looks pretty dry. Now I can rub on it. And see, even after that much time, it still isn't completely on here, but the stuff on the inside has dried. Okay. So there's the difference. The longer you wait, now see that doesn't look like a glue mark anymore. This one still does a little bit, but I can always go back and do the stain again on there. But my whole point was to show you there's other ways to hide those little glue marks that you do when you're filling in a crack in the wood. And using the stain pen is one more way of doing that. So, yeah, that would not be as noticeable as a glue mark. That would look more like it was just something in the wood like this here. So, I love this. I love the color of this wood, by the way. Really like it. Um, so yeah, that's another little trick you can use when you're fixing up your bowls. Now we're starting to make a little progress here. I've still got the cracks, but not quite as much. We're starting to get underneath that crack just a little bit. There is some tear out here. If you keep working at it, I don't know why it's doing that. If we didn't have that off balance with the crack and all, we could really pick the speed up and this would turn a lot faster because it is green wood. But green wood with cracks is a whole nother issue. Okay. And we've moved the cracks out here, so we're getting past some of the cracks. I don't know if we can go back to this or not. I'm kind of building up a pile here. There. I'm gonna have to remove some of these. Just too much again. Woo. So a lot of. That's a lot. A lot of strings. You can see it has some tear out areas in here. Yeah, if neighbors did a fireworks show around here, they'd be arrested. California does not put up with, of course, neither does Colorado right now, I don't think either. If you are going to use fireworks, please have a lot of adult supervision and very little beer in the area, because it can be really deadly. Out here we have a lot of guys that shoot off guns into the air to celebrate. I don't know what they think. I guess they figure that the bullet is going to go out into space or something and it doesn't come back to Earth. Because, you know, a lot of times you hear about people sitting in their living rooms, the bullet comes down through the roof and hits them. Or lands near their kids or something like that. So I got nothing against guns, guys, but please show a little common sense and don't shoot them up in the air. That's just dumb. One time I was a firearms safety instructor. I can't tell you the number of stupid things I've seen. The only thing I can really tell you, the best thing I can always tell you is always assume a gun is loaded. Never point any weapon, including a gun, but any other weapon, at a person. Even if it's just as a joke. We got it about halfway down right now. Does it say here? Stop here for a second. Catch up with y'all. It says stuck in painting. Yeah. The neighbors do a huge fireworks. Oh no, these guys are just a huge family. No alcohol, just about 4 generations getting together. Since grandma is too old to go, they bring it to her. I see. Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you a little firearm story. Just a quick one here, guys, because there's not many of us here anyway. And that is one time when I was like I said, I was an instructor with a security company, and what we told people at the time, this was thinking at the time, is to leave your first chamber empty. So the idea was twofold. One, if somebody was to take your gun and they tried to use it, it would not fire because there would not be a bullet in the chamber. So that was number one. But number two is if you were carrying your gun and you were about to fire, if you made a mistake on who you were firing against, you wouldn't shoot them. You'd have to pull the trigger twice. So in other words, you'd have to have that extra time to actually confirm that this is somebody that you wanted to shoot at in order for it to be going off the second time. So there's two reasons for leaving the first chamber empty. Well, what so happened that one night this one person that was with me had pulled his gun out to do something and had cocked it back and then put it back down again, forgetting that now the next chamber that when he cocks it again is going to have a loaded bullet in it. And he was fooling around with it, sitting in his chair. I don't know. And I told him, I said, "Stop that! Don't do it." He just, "Don't worry, it's an empty thing." And he points at the ceiling and pulls the trigger, and a bullet goes off and goes right into the ceiling. If he'd have been pointing it at me, it would have been going right through me. So, point being that always treat a gun as loaded. Never assume that you have an empty chamber, even when you're training to have an empty chamber, because you forget that you do things, and it's just dumb. It's just dumb, And there's plenty of dumb people walking around on this earth. We don't need them doing dumb things on us. Okay. I mean, we let dumb people get away with a lot of stuff. That's not one of them we should let be going on. Okay. Personally, for me, if they can't pass a written test and an oral test, they shouldn't have a gun in the first place because they should have gone through a course like that. I think everyone should go through a safety course first. Everybody who has a gun should go through a safety course. And unfortunately, some states don't require that, and I think they're shortchanging the person too, because a lot of times the person, because they don't know any better, does something bad down the road, and that could have been saved if they'd have gotten the right training in the first place. Yeah, the Darwin Awards, yes, absolutely, Jim. I'm glad you mentioned the Darwin Awards. Love them. I've been reading the Darwin Awards for, gosh, I guess 30 years or more. Yeah. And the movie, by the way, that the movie for the Darwin Awards is absolutely hilarious. And it has one of the Mythbusters in it. Adam from the Mythbusters is in that movie. So if you guys ever have a chance to see the Darwin Awards movie, it is worth a watch. It is hilarious, and it has a lot of cameos in it. They're just worth watching. So one of my secret little movies I like to see. It doesn't come on TV very often, unfortunately, and that's too bad because it is well worth watching. You know what I'm going to do at this point? I'm not even going to smooth this out, but I'm going to probably call it and let this dry a little bit. And if we can do that, then what will happen is this will dry out a little bit more, and we'll be able to do the final turning on this in a little bit. So what I need to do is get this to turn and to dry some without cracking anymore. So I don't want to expose any more cracks to it. You see, we got purple right there. That's real purple right there. We got some browns. We got some soft wood right here, like from a branch that was right here somewhere. We've got these mild cracks, which we don't want to get any bigger. And I'm hoping because I treated them on the outside, they will be treated enough. I'm going to have to keep an eye on this and see if I can't slowly dry this out some so that we'll be able to turn the rest of this bowl. This is not one of those projects you want to be able to running fast through it. See, it's 23% here. It's 23% in the center of that. It's 23% here. This is all 23% right now. So all of that wood is going to be drying out some. The edge out here is 16%. So this is 16. This is at 23. What's going to happen is that's going to pull in as the moisture is coming out, and this is going to warp the outside even more. And at that point, we may have to start turning the outside again too, because it may be just too much warp. See, because even at this, when we look at that, when we lowered the weight considerably, that's trying to turn at 600. Look at the amount of vibration we're getting in this piece, because it just it's thicker in some parts as it comes around, and it has a lot of weight to it. All that water weight is still in there. If we could get that weight down to like a half a pound or so, then it wouldn't be an issue. But we're probably throwing around 4 or 5 pounds of weight still on this thing, and so anything that's out a little bit would do that. Okay. Well, you're in Ohio, right, Jim? So in Ohio, you have to take a course for the permit unless you're a veteran. Yeah, well, not all veterans are masters at gun at shooting either. They're not. They may have gotten their badge, but that's about it. You never know. But they did get safety training at one point. Okay. You do real background check. That's good. For something this big, I probably will do packed shavings because we got a whole trash can full of it right now. I'll probably pack it in the shavings for a while. I'll probably take it out after a couple days and probably microwave some of this because there's a lot of water in here. I mean, this is cold to the touch. This is actually cold to the touch right now. Eric, he's talking about a permit for a firearm, to own a firearm. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I really appreciate everybody being in here today. We just did not draw any kind of crowd at all. I think the most people we ever had in here was about 24, which is just sad. That's 2 weeks in a row where we just had zero. I mean really, really zero. I mean, I did last Saturday, I had 3,000 people on a 3-hour video, which is just tremendously bad for me. Yeah. No, I don't think they're talking about a CCW. I think they're just talking about for a permit for ownership. CCW is a whole nother level. For CCW, you ought to have some specialized training. For concealed carry permit, yeah, you really should. And like I said, I have not been a trainer for many, many years for that particular subject. Oh, in fact, I just got called from my old business. They want me to do some supervisor training for a major company in about a week or so. But they haven't gotten back to me on what they want me, how they want me to do the supervisor training. So I gotta do a little studying on that too, see what it is they want me to cover. But they always bring the old warhorse out every once in a while to do this. So I usually do about a 2-hour stand up. Oh, that is for concealed carry. Okay. Anyway, I think for just ownership of a gun, you should have safety because, whether you're going to conceal it or not, you need to know the safety rules and how to handle things properly, and show that you have some competence and understanding of the how to store and handle a weapon, no matter what. That's my own personal conversation. That's not anybody else's. So don't go by me. But that's just my own personal thing. You can have lots of guns if you want, but I want you to at least know what the hell you're doing. So anyway, guys, I think I'm going to call it here. We went through like 4 bulls today. I don't know if everybody saw them all, but I'll bring them over here. 5 bulls actually, because this one's the 5th one that's on here. But we finished this one and this one and this little bitty one and this other one here. You saw me do that one not too long ago. We did that one. We got 4 bulls. 3 of those are from the elm tree. If Alex is still on here, this is not that elm that we took down. They were all green pieces. So, yeah, not bad. Now we got this big monster that we're still working on, and we'll probably have another video out of this. Working on the taming the monster, because we are still taming the monster. Here's another concern. There's another crack right there that I hope does not start opening up while it's drying. A crack there, crack here, everywhere, crack, and in here, which is part of this part. So we got to make sure that we don't get any more cracks developing as we go. Yeah. In California, you need a license just to get a bullet. You can have a gun, but you have to register your bullets too. They want a number on every one of your bullets so they know what they are. I think we'd be just as successful if we had one on every golf ball. Anyway. Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate you being in here, and I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. And you guys have a good weekend. Check out Jim. He's going to be doing a live. I don't know if anybody else here is going to be doing a live. If you are, let us know before we go off here. But yeah, not to live in California, or not to live in California too. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I do live in California, and unless you want to come out here and buy the house at the price I need for it, I won't be leaving, because you folks in the other parts of the country can't afford to buy the houses that we have out here in a lot of cases. Now, that's not to say I actually have a pretty good sized piece of property in town, which is pretty nice. They don't sell these kind of city lots anymore, so I have a really nice sized piece of property. But you never know. I could always move. All right. Okay, guys. Well, we'll talk to you all soon. Eric and Jim, those pens will be got in the mail, so you should be getting them next week. And we'll talk to everybody real soon. Thank you.